That's right, guess who? It's Nick Dutch, back on the camera again one more time, and blah-de-blah-de-blah. Now, I'm sure, well, some of you may know I've been having a disagreement with a YouTube user whose channel name is DARTHMOBIUS, who in a previous video to me said that he believed in the finalization of the New World Order, which is something that I felt was a bit of an extrapolation too far, because essentially the only places where we've got the term New World Order being used is a rather unfortunate phrase by George W. Bush and the occasional pundit here and there or politician who is basically trying to impress everybody and trying to say that we're moving on to something bigger and better in the future. As far as what the New World Order actually is, I feel is very difficult to say. I don't think that we can say it is anything, because it's only really been properly defined by people who have a political agenda all of their own and essentially are recycling a particular German political legend, namely the stab in the back political legend. These are often people on the either the far right or the far left of the political spectrum, and in some cases are rather paranoid. So I think that there's a few issues with the idea of the New World Order. However, what I will say is that DARTHMOBIUS has been in communication with me via private message. The tone of the private messages have actually been very reasonable, and therefore I have nothing against DARTHMOBIUS as an individual. I personally assume that we are disagreeing in terms of, I suppose, perspective, emphasis, and definitions as to what this particular phrase means, and a few other things associated with the term New World Order. Now, DARTHMOBIUS has made a reply to my response to him. I have not seen it at all yet. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do what I typically do when I'm commenting on a video, is I'm going to play it in the background. You should be able to hear the audio, and hopefully it'll be clear enough for you to be able to get some understanding as to what he's saying, and then we'll be able to discuss bit by bit as we go through. This is completely and utterly unprimed, as close to live entertainment as you could get on a YouTube video, I suppose, and we'll just have to see basically what I decide based upon what I'm hearing. And of course this will be my initial response. It's not a well thought through or a well researched response. It is just direct, straight, no chaser. So here we go. It says on the screen, DARTHMOBIUS' second response to Nick Dutch.
This is DARTHMOBIUS' response to Nick Dutch. Excellent response, by the way, Nick. Appreciate the candor and politeness, more gentlemen from me than many others who invariably plunge the bottom of derision and indignant behaviour. One would like to begin with clarification of beliefs and take to the discussion. Right. First off, the highlighting the North American Union and the NWO, the European Union and Euro, as such, was for illustrative purposes of the globalization process.
Okay, so the European Union is an illustration of the globalization process. Well, first and foremost, is it? Alright, the European Union is not really acting as one nation, because the individual nations within the European Union democratically influence and affect the parliaments and the ruling bodies within Europe. So there is still individual autonomy, but there is standardization on a few things, which is related to things such as health, medicine, safety, and so on and so forth. So the individual nations still have their own autonomy, but they are working in a club-like democratic manner. So as far as is there some kind of top-down rulership? No. Are the nations getting on better as a result of the being in the European Union? Yes. Is there less of a likelihood of a major civil war within the European region as a result of the European Union, basically, yes, there is less of a chance of another European civil war. So things are actually looking more positive since the formulation of the European Union, and this is not, at this stage, evidence of there being one singular government which is running the world, because the idea of the New World Order is about a government, a singular government running the rest of the world, rather than nations and political groups within nations and, conglomerations of nations having a democratic say and democratic rulership, guided by some kind of constitution. So that's maybe evidence of greater global trade, but is that evidence of a new world order? No, it isn't.
Please feel free to Google up the North American Union as Bush Jr. and Las W. We already started a treat for that from Virgin Canada, America, and Mexico. All right.
Yeah, the North American Union is, well, if it does ever happen, alright, hypothetically, it would probably be a good idea. Secondly, as far as is this something to be afraid of, I don't think so. Not for the American people, not for the rest of the world. Essentially, it would probably serve the role of decentralizing power and making the legal and economic rules governing the entire region to be much more fair for all, actually, and would actually allow for more jobs and more stability.
Okay. Now, in regards to the Amero, as I mentioned, it trades an electronic currency under an alternative banner, and 76% of Paul civilians disagree with the implementation of the Biden's presentation. Of course, implementation, according to various media pundits, equals dissolution of sovereignty. And that's a whole other argument. Yeah. Now, back to what you mentioned about the myth earlier in the previous video. Winston Churchill was rather fond of the NWO theme, and yes, Nick, I agree that it was also a means to veil secret wars, in so much as destabilization of a locality. Now,
Okay, now, have nation-states ever acted to destabilize a region? Yes. Is that good? No. If there were more regions part of a larger group and they all had some kind of democratic say in the way that the larger group was run, would that make the destabilization of specific regions less likely? Yes, it would. I don't see the problem. Again, is that proof of a new world order? No, it is the proof that, or hypothetical proof, that the different regions will have more democratic say in the way in which they are run and they are dealt with. Okay, as far as the Amero is concerned, I haven't seen enough hard and fast evidence about the existence of a potential singular currency for America, and if it happens, again, it will probably be a good thing. And would this have an effect against democracy? I don't think so. Would it reduce sovereignty? I don't think so. I don't feel there is any evidence that there is a loss of sovereignty. It just means that there are some standards so that trade can occur with greater ease, thus making the flow of money, the flow of jobs, the flow of labor much more positive, and also the flow of medical help to regions that require it.
cut some big close.
The Great Wall is no longer a wall dividing China from the rest of the world.
Now, this is actually scary. Sorry, DARTHMOBIUS, but you are really starting to get on my nerves with this particular bit. He's showing a clip from something which is obviously a conspiracy theory video, and it's already coming out scary. It says the Great Wall is no longer a wall dividing China from the rest of the world.
but it is a reminder of the fact that there are many walls still existing in the world which divide nations and peoples. The Great Wall is also a reminder that for almost a generation there has been a wall between the People's Republic of China and the United States of America.
Yeah, until recent days, when essentially they're trading with America and America is trading with China, and Britain is looking to get involved in selling to China. So as far as, you know, there are fewer divides now thanks to globalization, and China is slowly edging towards a slightly better society, but only slowly. It will get there in the end, presumably. Let's just see how history works out.
In these past 4 days, we have begun the long process of removing that wall between us.
Which is a good thing.
We began our talks recognizing that we have great differences, but we are determined that those differences not prevent us from living together in peace. You believe deeply in your system, and we believe just as deeply in our system. It is not our common beliefs that have brought us together here, but our common interests and our common hopes. The interest that each of us has to maintain our independence and the security of our peoples, and the hope that each of us has to build a new world order.
We have
Yeah, okay. So the phrase New World Order was mentioned. But the question still remains. Alright, is there a singular government running the world? That video, the positive things about that video is it's talking about creating the opportunity for trade, for jobs, for industry. Not about one government running the world. That's daft. And now you're showing me, what is it? Is this the Bush Senior speech?
for us the opportunity to forge for ourselves and for future generations a new world order. A world where the rule of law, not the law of the jungle, governs the conduct of nations. When we are successful, and we will be, we have a real chance at this new world order, an order in which a credible United Nations...
Look, we've all heard this. We've heard this hundreds of times before, okay? If you've ever watched the Alex Jones channel, which I have, I did that for months and months and months on end. I know, I've seen this, I've seen lots of other videos and lots of other channels which have got the same damn speech on it. It is a meaningless speech which has been designed to sound impressive. That's all. And there is no statement here to suggest that there is going to be a singular government. Now, if he's saying a credible United Nations, well, what does that mean? A place where nations can talk. Just talk. Alright? Is communication that much of a bad thing? Would you rather have protectionism? Would you rather have nations keeping everything within their walls? Would you rather create an environment where war is more likely? God.
can use its peacekeeping role to fulfill the promise and vision of the UN's founders.
God, this is enough to drive back to smoking.
The New World Order in school, the teachers and the faculty laugh. They literally call it a conspiracy.
Yeah, it's a conspiracy. It's a conspiracy theory. Okay, someone mentioned a few words, and people who want to use the stab in the back political legend for their own political purposes, namely right-wing, extreme right-wing conservative values, use it to terrify people, to make sure that they vote for extreme Republican and they join the goddamn Tea Party. That's what it's all about. Why can't you see that? God almighty.
Even though it's been admitted, it's a conspiracy. But now I'm taking American history. Here's my book.
It's enough to drive back to
American
smoking
history.
issues.
And as I was looking through it today in class, I came across something
I have actually seen this particular snippet before, okay? I've seen loads of this stuff before.
that we will be learning about. America in the New World Order.
Yeah, and the interesting thing about that little clip is that little kid doesn't go through the book and he doesn't say precisely what this New World Order is, all the ideas associated with it. All he does is he just says, oh, look what we're going to be learning in the future, and he just shows you the title, oh, the New World Order. Well, what the fuck does it mean? Alright, what the fuck does that phrase mean? It means that there's going to be change. There's going to be opportunities, greater opportunities for you, greater opportunities for me. The fact that you're talking to me right now via a blog website in which I can see your face and you can see mine shows something which you might find difficult. I mean, this is a free service. The only thing you're paying for once you've plugged your computer into the internet is your own regular internet subscription, okay? You can use this website free of charge to be able to make a video to me as a result of technical and historical progress. Alright, this is the progress that's helping to bring about greater democracy in your country, in my country, in America, in Europe, through the spread of ideas. Alright, but if the ideas that you're spreading, I mean this is serious, if the ideas that you're actually spreading are those which are geared towards turning people into extremely prejudiced, insular, nationalistic individuals who want to defend borders not just for the purposes of maintaining sovereignty, because essentially if you have this globalized community you still have individual nation-state sovereignty, because how else could you organize the administration within your country and organize how you're going to trade with everybody else on the face of the planet? It's a great system of organization and administration. Alright, it's not going to go away. You're not going to just have like a world without any literal borders. There's still got to be some kind of ways of measuring where all the money is going. Got to have ways of measuring essentially where all the people are going. You've got to be able to control disease. You've got to be able to arrange where to put the hospitals. And having a regional geographical system is in fact ideal. That is if it ever happens and it ever comes off. But essentially, there's so much in the way of politics, and politics starts with the human mind. Alright, politics starts with the way that you think. Alright, and if essentially the politics is the politics of fear, the politics of seeing patterns, or seeing meanings in patterns or things that people say, where the meanings that you've come to are in fact incorrect, or factually inaccurate, then the politics that you're going to have is going to be based upon things which are in fact complete lies. So essentially, what you'd be doing is taking forms of political action which are incorrect, inappropriate, don't do anybody any good, alright, and won't help you as an individual, as a nation, as a race, as a religion, as a group of atheists, as a group of whatever you are, as a family, to be able to, basically branch out and be a part of the greater international community, to be able to hold down your jobs, to be able to build your businesses, to be able to choose the food that you want to eat, and the quantity of choice is going to be greatly reduced. Because of this paranoid misinterpretation of the information which is actually being presented. Now, have you actually ever seen the Council on Foreign Relations videos? And I mean, no. Not just a few minutes or a few seconds which is being cut out of them by a person who wishes to misrepresent the arguments and placed it into their conspiracy theory video in order to try and make the message appear stronger, when in fact it's a misinterpretation, okay, or a misrepresentation, or it's not in keeping with the full facts. Have you actually seen the whole thing? Alright, look, there's a channel on YouTube, it's called U Channel, okay, go through it, there's loads of videos there, some of them are actually the original CFR videos, and you can see the whole context. They're like an hour in duration. I know that most people who are interested in the New World Order conspiracy theory, they don't have the capacity to sit down and actually watch a video for a whole hour, alright, or more in some cases, in which they have to actually think about what is being said and the meanings of the words which are being used, rather than somebody else spoon-feeding them, seriously spoon-feeding them, a particular interpretation, a particular message. There you go, have another dollop of message there. And then here's a tiny little, 3-second snippet of a video, which looks like, once I've terrified you into submission, it points to the fact we're all going to be living under global tyranny and fascism. For crying out loud.
The divide, then, is between those who see this as positive, the opening up, offering opportunity, and those who see it as threatening, and therefore wish to close down.
Yeah, that's what Tony Blair was saying. And essentially, in this particular case, he's right.
I think a new world order is emerging, and with it the foundations of a new and progressive era of international cooperation.
Okay, a new world order, not the new world order. What is the new world order? Alright, these days we have technology. Okay, if you want to stop the new world order, go around the entire world smashing up every single computer and every single server in the entire universe, the entire fucking world, okay? Cut every single wire and every single cable. Because through communication, good things can happen. And that means people getting on and people getting by. Alright? Thanks to technology, I can do some of my shopping online if I haven't quite got enough time to be able to go out to the shops myself, or if I'm ill with the flu. That's technological progress. Alright, I can buy from America, I can buy from France, Germany, Italy and Spain just by sitting here at my computer. This is the technological progress that we have these days. Alright, is there anything wrong with that? Alright, and the very fact you're using a computer which is full of components which have come from all over the world shows your own hypocrisy.
We have resolved that from today we will together manage the process of globalization to secure responsibility from all and fairness to all.
We will see the
So, responsibly from all and to fair all, and fair for all. Okay? Because a lot of people just hear the words New World Order and the little paranoid circuits in their head start whirring and they don't hear the rest of the words. Okay, fairness for all. Fairness. Fairness for all. Fairness for all. Did you hear that? What Gordon Brown was saying? Fairness for all. Those were the words.
emergence of a new international order.
The beginning of a new international order.
Hang on a minute, wasn't that Ben Snow? Oh, it can't have been Ben Stein, could it? Could it? Oh, I don't know.
I think Kirsten had it exactly right. I think there's a bunch of wrong-footed moves by Hank Paulson and the Illuminati of the country, if you will.
The Illuminati of the country, if you will. Alright, he's speaking allegorically and metaphorically there. As in the people who have a bit of power and a bit of money. There is no Illuminati. Get real. Grow up.
And I think we're paying for it right now.
What?
Yes, so why was that particular little snippet put into this particular video by DARTHMOBIUS? Look, there are people with money and power. Yeah. Okay, there are people with money and power. Why is that so scary to you? Alright, we have some democracy at the moment. Okay? We can get more of it. And we will get more of it. Because it's got to happen that way. Because you've all got a voice. At the moment you've got a computer and an internet connection, you've got a voice. But essentially if the politics you're creating with your voice is paranoid politics, it's not good. So if DARTHMOBIUS is thinking about portraying an argument, why is he using a snippet of a video which has got tons of Ride of the Valkyries in it?
Who are the new rulers of the world?
Now this is from a rather aged, I think it's called an underground video. Namely those who are interested in alternative histories. You can tell because it's faded and it's crackly, okay? This is not a good information source, do not listen to it. No, it's just quite simply it's not. It's not because I'm some kind of Illuminati shill and I'm trying to, make sure that you all convert to Luciferianism or eat babies or something stupid like that. It's the fact that it is the fact. This is misrepresentation for the purposes of creating a political group of people or a politicized group of people who are prepared to sell an idea so some arseholes can sell books.
Empire today is greater than the British Empire ever was. This is the center of this new empire, all within a square mile in Washington. Down the road from the White House,
Bullshit.
from the US Treasury, is the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund.
We're living through exceptionally difficult times. The financial crisis and its dramatic impact on employment and budgets, the climate crisis which threatens our very survival, a period of anxiety, uncertainty and lack of confidence. Yet these problems can be overcome by a joint effort in and between our countries. 2009 is also the first year of global governance, with the establishment of the G20 in the middle of the financial crisis.
This is the perfect speech which can be misrepresented by someone who's got an extremely conservative ideology. Alright? Because this guy is talking about international cooperation. International cooperation. And there's a difference between global governance and global government. Global governance means cooperation. Now, he's also talking about climate problems, you know, climate change, global warming, all the rest of that kind of fun stuff, which is real. I'm sorry. If you're a climate denier, you know, just go away, because you are using wrong information. I would recommend you watch some videos done by Potholer. What number comes after? Anyway, search for Potholer. And the other one is Greenman3610, whose channel is amazing, and I think you'll find that there's a lot of criticism of the conspiracy movement. So essentially, if there is a global catastrophe, there has to be some kind of global cooperation. And if you can't see that, what the heck is going on? If you just worked in a nation-state system and nation-states were just struggling against nation-states, then what would happen to the rest of the world? All right, you got to think about this. So essentially, this is a really it's a relatively well set up straw man argument. Okay, it's a misrepresentation of a position for the purposes of discrediting an argument and promoting an ideology. And as a result of that, you know, it's not worth the, you know, the papers written on, the whatever, you know, it's pathetic.
The climate conference in Copenhagen is another step towards the global management of our planet.
Let's hear that.
Yeah, that's right. The global management of the planet as a result of cooperation. Okay, look up the word cooperation in the dictionary. See what it means. Alright? Does this mean depopulation? A scary word, scary word. He's used a scary word. Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. No. It means we as a planet and as a species have got some problems that we're facing. And if we don't do something about it together, then we'll have a great opportunity to depopulate the planet. Then, you know, we'll have the seas rising, land mass getting less, quantity of fresh water slowly diminishing, there'll be more hurricanes, more tornadoes, there'll be more tsunamis, population of the planet will go down nicely then, wouldn't it? If we don't cooperate, if we don't cooperate as one world. Alright? You've got to learn to think these things through. And don't just sit down in front of YouTube watching this conspiracy bullshit and getting yourself into a paranoid stupor. Alright, because that's what it is. Oh no, they're all going to change the world. Okay, change happens. Change happens for a reason. Need is the mother of invention. We have to invent ways of dealing with problems. We as a species have to do that. And yes, the most intelligent, most rich, and most powerful people have to actually be the ones to do it, rather than just, you know, some person who's, you know, high on drugs and just watching YouTube all the time.
And again, 2009 is also the first year of global governance, with the establishment of the G20 in the middle of the financial crisis. The climate conference in Copenhagen is another step towards the global management of our planet. Our mission, our presidency, is one of hope, supported by acts and by deed.
Yeah, okay. Supported by acts and deeds, and the word is hope.
What am I thinking? Where is my evidence? What are the causal labs? Interesting questions, by the way, and sobering paranoia interesting again. Okay, let's go to work. DARTHMOBIUS has raised an interesting household if you're into prosaic psychoanalysts, where globalization had already started. I'm very European, and it's something one is not afraid of. Quite to the contrary, I see it as the only solution now after a myriad of ages of nationalism, xenophobia. I don't fear any world order, or indeed perceive it as this oft-laughable YouTube vids of conspiracy theorists wax lyrical on forums. I don't rationalize it as some creeping monster from Jekyll Island or some Zionist hegemonic grab for world domination through oligarchs.
Okay, so I'm glad that despite the fact you obviously have watched all of these conspiracy theory videos, because those snippets took up, what, about a third of the entire video duration? Alright, those snippets of video, conspiracy theory videos, underground videos, namely bad information designed to misrepresent an argument, videos, alright, taken up a lot of this particular video from you, DARTHMOBIUS. Okay, obviously, you know, you're not interpreting it as necessarily something terrible. Okay, but the viewers of those videos do interpret it as being something that's that terrible. And why would you choose those particular snippets rather than actually going straight to the original CFR videos and basing your argument and belief in the finalization of the New World Order upon that?
I believe there's a ongoing commonality, as you were saying at the start of your video, and this is an element thereof. You query what models to be deployed, and they're ultimately leading, this is the impression currently then, to accept all forms of Marxism or quasi-social structure tailored to the individual and locality. Obviously, they'll insist that it isn't Marxism or socialist. Yeah. Anyway, so the New World Order in itself is just another tier of democratic, political, and financial processes in a global structure enhancing democracy. I love to see Peter Carroll's chaocracy implemented instead of purely for the comedy value of just see how society deals with the absolute responsibility.
Sorry. I'm just gonna have to collect my thoughts. Okay. You're coming at me with an argument, or an apparent argument, or an alleged argument about the foundation of, or the implementation of, or the finalization of this new world order, and then you say you would like to see the chaocracy of Peter J. Carroll, who is a New Age occultist, who doesn't really have an ideology. There's lots of very intoxicating use of language in his writings. There is unfortunately a variety of subcultural fashion associated with Peter J. Carroll. You know, the Chaos Magicians have certain type of fashion, they have certain types of jewelry, they use things to demark who they think they are. But essentially it's not necessarily a political system, and essentially how on earth would a chaocracy actually operates. Alright, apart from the fact it would be anarchy, but even anarchy has to be structured, because anarchy is essentially very close to liberalism, and liberalism is very close to capitalism. Alright, so are we already in a chaocracy?
See, so no one doesn't see it, so doesn't see NWO as a bad thing. I don't perceive it suddenly becoming, being a new Roman Empire with some psychopath at the top playing.
Good. Okay, you don't believe it's a new Roman Empire with a psychopath at the top. That's a positive thing. Okay.
God, like what was previously in the past, such as Nero. The United Kingdom and several other countries didn't roll the dice in royalty just about to kick off a century or two later as some generic inventor. Now, going back to households, one had a relative who was quite influential on one's worldview thinking. They were an association, a fraternity, which on a local level were behind mechanizations to achieve the centralization of the merger of counties then, which came to pass, take Devon Power, so Ethan Patel, but as an example of such mergers have been overly public with immediate effect, there would have been uproar, extreme public dissent, and probable confrontations akin to the minor strikes that...
Yeah, that's right. There have been disagreements about mergers and things which large companies have done. This is democracy at work. They have not been gassed or shot. There's been the occasional instance of police violence, yes, and that was appalling, absolutely appalling. But it's not really proof of the New World Order.
The 80s are the poll tax riots, so it took decades. So the big picture then is this merger of all these counties as one state in Instead of the smaller separatist counties, on March 3, 2011, the country I'm currently residing in, Wales, got the referendum on furthering the power of its National Assembly. To any just another, talking shop. Anyway, taking steps towards a parliament that originally rejected in 1964 and 1979, finally accepted in 1997, further empowered in 2006 and again as I mentioned, and I posit that eventually there will be a conceptualisation of one state of Wales, and so...
Yeah, okay, so essentially the Wales are getting their devolution, which is great, turns them into an independent country. That's a good thing for them. Surely. I'm still not quite sure where you're going here. I mean, sure, there are things in the political environment that you personally disagree with. But, you know, so what? And on top of that, in what way is this proof of the finalization of a one-world nation which is run by a one-world government? I think your argument's actually falling to pieces here.
The archaic triage system concurrently in existence. Back to that relative. They and their wisdom and vastly greater intelligence imparted with me a broad spectrum of material, information then, evidentiary data piles and stuff that you can't really make public, which culminates in a perspective and of this new world order. Now, I was fortunate enough to have the experience of a private and classical education, and tutored accordingly in the institution, attended, excelled, and produced probably the best business people, the best political candidates, and probably the best organised criminals. There were a number of Moriarty types in attendance. A couple of them concurrently operate as economic hitmen for various institutions.
What is this proof of? Seriously, what is this proof of? So there are nasty people who get good educations as well as nice people who get good educations, and some people end up becoming part of the mob. Okay, but essentially, where is the proof of the New World Order here? Okay, is there any real proof from what you're saying of global? I mean, yes, there are going to be nasty people who've got money and power. Yes, there's going to be nice people who've got money and power. But where is the proof of New World Order? I cannot see it. The only evidence which you have provided me with, I'll just check. Yeah, there's nothing in your information box which says the proof of what the New World Order is, or the fact that there is a New World Order. The only thing that's given you the idea of this New World Order is those snippets of news videos. That's it. You're not telling me anything here. You're not proving your points. Your argument is getting weaker, not stronger.
And finally, the best fuck-ups, people like me. But that's another story. The curriculum I introduced, tutored and educated on this future New World Order, this globalisation process, and also imparted our duties, rights, responsibilities, what we should be doing in the future, to be part of society. So many of my contemporaries, being a bunch of true blue-braised imperialist bastards, panicked, but soon got their heads around it. I guess the future free market element got them on board with the sound of ka-ching. I was going to...
So, you're objecting to norms. You're objecting to cultural and social norms. Is that right? You're objecting to integration into society and into the economy. Is that right? Is that really right?
List a plethora of institutions involved in the global NWO process, but I just really don't have the inclination to drag this out as a 300-part series and just have all YouTube's trials take the fight to me. I should admit that you're more than qualified researcher and familiar with such organisations in that they serve as think tanks, financiers, advisory committees.
So do you object to think tanks, financiers and advisory committees? Do you object to them? Some of them could be good, some of them could be bad. But do you object to the idea of having people who come up with ideas and try and prove their arguments with facts, and these ideas can then be discussed openly and publicly, and even broadcast on the British Parliament channel, for instance? What is going on? There is no evidence of a shadow government controlling the world here.
Resource manpower departments like recruitment agencies then for solutions, and not what can be Googled through Insanitypedia. Well, now posits that this answers a number of questions. I would like to ask you, does this provide an alternative view to the NWO camp or not? At this moment, at this juncture then, yeah? Earlier I claimed up to the media, personal and political dialogues highlighting elements. The NWO is a solution to problems, a solution to unity, and a solution for the human race. Will you posit an agreement that it cannot be left up to one country to get the human race into further space exploration? It cannot be left to one country to save our species, to balance the books, to account for our sins, to carry the burden of responsibility and decisions. Ultimately, we need to expand beyond a 0.0 society to ultimately achieve a 0.3 society. And under the old governance, under the old ways, the all and nothing days, the grim fairy tales of the last man to the last bullet, we will not be united as a species, ultimately, then.
Correct. And so therefore progress towards global communication, so that we can live in a world where I can sit in my living room, talk to my camera with a cheap security light shining on the left-hand side of my face, so that you can see me and you can hear me, and so that more people can understand where I'm coming from, has to therefore be a good thing, right? And this is people in my country, in your country, in European countries, in Australia, New Zealand, and vice versa. Same with you. Surely this is a good thing. And if you object to this globalization thing, what are you doing broadcasting to the world?
Facing oblivion. Just like Carl Sagan's pale blue dot, I find it quite sobering, and it's imperative that we all unite and crush ourselves against the insurmountable odds and do something better with what little time we have left as a species. I understand paranoid can mess you up. This comes from a very paranoid person, but my paranoid focus being a different capacity.
Okay, so now your accent seems to be changing, and you seem to be moving towards being in favor of globalization.
It keeps me acutely rational, as in this context, paranoia is in being possession of all the facts, paraphrasing both the Senate of 1945 and William S. Burroughs. But one cannot assume God-headed knowing all the facts, and one endeavours to acquire facts, to assimilate information accordingly, correctly, and informatively. Whether it comes back out in right order and context is another matter. Sorry. Nasty habit, I put my foot in it. A good friend has psychosis in relation to grey aliens and abduction things. I illustrated in opinion that this was in a clear, concise, and rational manner. It alleviated the psychosis, providing evidence it was originally just a CIA psyop, which has now grown to a charlatan's paradise. They've flipped out, and now we just can't talk about aliens. But one does see and understand the perception of opinions in relation to those on the fringe, the truly insidiousness of ideas. The inception of a downward spiral in recent media and political rhetoric covers this in egregious detail. Such as that senator being shot by that guy he was taking, I do believe it was like Coyote, something else. Now, to summarise one's ideas of concept.
Okay, I'm not quite sure where this comes into the argument or the debate about the New World Order, but yes, you're right, ideas are insidious, and people tend to grab onto them and hold onto them, and that can be scary and that can be difficult, especially when we're seeing all the nutters here on YouTube, okay?
Social, geopolitical, educational, and entertainment standards, and that NWO is real and not a bad thing. That's why I'm not falling into the furtive fallacy or future paranoias. I don't live in fear. Now, following your comments points in relation to how you don't see how people make the jump to rationalising or anthropomorphising their personal and collective fears, which is understandable as for all intents and purposes, you're handicapped by the fact of being what is essentially sane, and that's a good thing, Nick. From extensive study of various avenues of psychological, psychiatric, and personal immersion in the society of such people whose fractured rationalisings and degenerative interpretations have displayed drama from sublime to the most surreal, indicating that such actions, thoughts, and earnest inclusions and on in association with ideas are either internalised or externalised defences, that their oft-proved egos are myriad of defences, responses to life. They're incapable of seeing that their lifestyles are the foundation for much of their woes. Then the reality.
Yeah, that's right. People's lifestyles are the foundation for much of their woes. So I don't see the point in making their woes worse. Alright, through fear. And this New World Order conspiracy theory is fear. And it doesn't help people. And on top of that, I still don't think you've proven to me that it exists, or it's going to be created, or you've given me a hard and fast definition of what it's about. and globalization is a good thing.
To deal themselves, so they look for an enemy. Against American policy ranges where they incapable of dealing with themselves internally, so they seek outside enemies constantly. But you ask Nick, do I want to live in a world where paranoia has become the victor, where innocent people in itself are beaten or killed because of a lie? My answer is this, Nick. Backed by governments and media outlets, RSS feeds, against what I want to believe, against what I want, and against what we need. We already do. Be very self-honest.
So if I got this right, you're afraid of the media. You're paranoid about the media and how that affects people. Have I got that right? Because if I haven't, tell me, leave a comment, all the rest of that, okay? Now he's showing, it looks like news footage of a riot. Although how this actually ties into everything, it's difficult to say. And the thing with the media, is that you can choose what you watch, which will often be representative of what you agree with, what you disagree with, what you're trying to find out about. And there's no specific message there, there's no real subliminal there. Okay? And the fact that they can actually give people the opportunity to think about things which are right and things which are wrong is actually quite a good and positive thing, realistically speaking. So I don't see where the concern is about the media. Okay, the media is out there, it's just there. And the fact that we all have freedom of speech, which means that we can challenge the ideas which are out there. I mean, is there anything really, really bad about the fact that there are different news channels out there? No. It's something to do with the representation of the views and the values of people. Alright, the views and the values of the different individuals and what they choose as something which can help to reflect upon what they feel, or something that they wish to challenge themselves in, and it gives them an opportunity to think in a different way, which is a good thing. So why? And why, if you're not, it seems like you got this very ambivalent attitude towards fear. I mean, you regard you yourself, I think you yourself said you were a bit of a paranoid person, but essentially, why use this footage of crime and of people being beaten up in your argument? How does this actually how does this actually help people? How does this actually help your argument? How does this actually help you prove to me that this new world order exists? And yes, there will be media outlets who've got their own agenda. I mean, so what? You've got your own agenda, that's why you're broadcasting. Alex Jones has got his own agenda, that's why he broadcasts. Alright? Green Man 3610 has got his agenda, that's why he's broadcasting. We've got this like sea of ideas around us, and we can get inspiration from different sources, and we can work out what we feel is best. And we can learn more about how to think, because there's educational videos out there, and there's educational blogs out there, and there's things that teach you how to reason, things that teach you about logical fallacies, things that teach you about arguments, good arguments, bad arguments, and how to improve your ability to understand the world. So where is the problem with that? I don't see a problem with that. But I do see a problem with people believing that there is a global government which controls everybody and has some kind of historical effect and is designed so that regions can be destabilized and that humans can be killed. I see a big problem with that, and on top of that, the fact is based upon the same ideology, the same political legend which helped to start the Second World War from the opinions of the people in Germany, and it's being spread throughout the Western world. That has to be considered to be a very bad thing indeed. Alright. Okay, just a couple more minutes of this. Yeah, it's just more footage of chaos. When's he going to start talking? Yeah. Yeah. And that's it. And that's the end of the video. Okay. Now here comes my conclusion to what I've seen there. I don't agree. I don't think that you've provided me with proof of the existence of the New World Order. You've rambled a bit. You've pointed out that the media is a scary thing, which it can be at times. Yeah, sure. But on the other hand, there's also different media outlets with different opinions out there. And there's opportunities to blend and meld ideas and for cultures and concepts to spread around the world thanks to the internet. And a large percentage of the people in the Western world have access to the internet. Or they know someone who's got access to the internet. They can start finding things out. You can go down your local library and with just £1 or £2 you can start surfing for information. And you can find out about argumentation, logical fallacies, about global warming, about what's really real. Okay? And you can go through the process of learning, growth and development. Sure, there are bad people who get some positions of power and influence, but there's also an awful lot of good people there too. And because of the new ways in which we as a species can communicate and can build our own political groups, namely through the internet, the better political ideas can eventually erode the worst. And I see no benefits to anybody in promoting an ideology which is bad or wrong or inappropriate. Now, I said at the very beginning of this video that what I would be doing is coming out with my initial reactions. And I admit that I was a little overly passionate in a few parts of what I've been saying and doing, because this is a subject that I feel very strongly about. I feel that the people of the world are being deluded by the New World Order conspiracy theorists. I feel that there is a great growing political and social danger in the conspiracy theory movement. I feel that the misinformation and disinformation from anything from the anti-vaxxers through to the chemtrail freaks, through to people who are going on about the fact that the vitamins and minerals that you buy are there to kill you. This is a real danger, and this is from the fringe political right, whose audience is growing bigger thanks to the internet and thanks to the people who are watching the videos and reading the blogs being encouraged to disbelieve their education, to disbelieve their universities and their schools, and to only accept certain fringe ideas, which is thoroughly inappropriate behavior. And also, there is no concrete evidence for the existence of this New World Order. I haven't seen it, you haven't explained it to me, alright? And on top of that, international cooperation is a good thing, and especially if that is founded upon a foundation of people who have the ability to communicate via the internet, alright, and build up an understanding about life. Okay, remember the YouTube user Ujama Flipper actually got his face on the video asking the Prime Minister here in the UK a few questions. And sure, yeah, the issue was skirted around quite substantially. But on the other hand, he actually did it. He actually got his face there. And the fact that he can then issue a rebuttal against that particular video was, that particular news video was actually pretty amazing. That was an achievement. And there can be many more achievements as people start growing and developing in their political awareness and start focusing on some key issues. Alright, we need to focus in on key issues. We need to have movements which deal with key and important issues. If there's something that you object to in the world, you've got to either found, or you've got to build, or join a movement which is there to deal with that one particular issue. Okay, and then you can probably create some change in society. That's doable. And funnily enough, that is power from below up. Alright? It's run from the lower rungs of the ladder. So, where is the evidence for this New World Order? There isn't any. What do these conspiracy theorists do? What are the benefits of their ideology? There isn't any. What is the backlash against this imaginary New World Order? Well, it's protectionism, it's separatism, and it's people becoming violent and not acting politically appropriately. Okay? To be honest, DARTHMOBIUS, I wasn't madly impressed with your video. I don't think you communicated a good message or a strong message. I don't think that you had an argument which held together. And there still is no proof, and I mean proof, of the existence of this New World Order that you speak about. So I reject your lack of reality, and I substitute a better one, namely reality. This has been Nick Dutch. I hope I've entertained you. I hope I've given you a perspective or a point of view. And I hope that you will realize that it's not worthwhile worrying about something which plainly is not true. Good fortune. God bless. Chill out. Have fun.